What's good, YouTube? It's Microsoft Sam here, taking place of Cuddleofdeath this week, because she is hilariously sick. Hey, hooray, happy day, woo. I hope you are all super turned up for another United Championship League battle. This week we are taking on fellow 5-win streak opponent, Patterrz. This battle was recorded at 5:30 AM, when Kristen was super tired. She was unable to commentate it live and was so tired that she forgot to save versus recorder footage. So, Patterrz was kind enough to let us use his footage. It will be cut up, but every turn will be shown. Moving on, the Tulsa Talonflames team consists of Jellicent, Salamence, Galvantula, Virizion, Latios, and Ferroform. The Newcastle Nidokings team is Slowbro, Megavenosaur, Staraptor, Scrafty, Arcanine, and Nidoqueen. Keep in mind to smash that like button. If you're super turned up, make sure to check out Patterrz. The link to his channel and Twitter can be found in the description of this video. Let's go ahead and get started, and wish Kristen a swift recovery. So, now that we are into the battle, Kristen decides to lead off with her Galvantula, while Patterrz leads with Nidoqueen. This could allow trading of hazards, stealth rocks for sticky webs, or Nidoqueen could just do massive damage to Galvantula. Kristen switches into Jellicent, predicting rocks to go up, knowing that Jellicent would be able to take pretty much any hit from Nidoqueen. Patterrz decides to switch into Patterrz, his bitch-ass Venusaur, which is also his mega Pokémon. Kristen goes for the Will-O-Wisp and lands it, luckily. This gives her an option to use Hex, but since her Jellicent is physically defensive, it would not be a good idea to stay in against Venusaur. She switches into her best bet, Ferroform, hoping that Patterrz would go for a grass-type move.
Insert fancy Mega Evolution sequence commentary here. Oh, look, a flower on my head, I'm awesome, rawr.
Luckily for her, he goes for a Leech Seed, which means GG, free switch, take burn damage, peace, lol, swah. Turns out, Patterrz is packing heat. He unleashes Hidden Power Fire and wrecks Ferroform. Should have seen this coming, but Kristen is a scrub at 5:30 AM, so haha, get wrecked. Kristen switches into Latias, which is modest and packs Life Orb. Stealth rocks are still on the field, so she takes a little bit of damage from rocks. Latias is rocking Draco Meteor, which will do a fair amount of damage to any Pokémon on his team. Patterrz decides to switch out into Slowbro to scout what move Latias might go for. Latias does indeed go for the Draco Meteor. Slowbro takes half of its HP in one blow, and now Latias is minus to special attack. Kristen withdraws Latias, predicting Scald. She switches out into her Pringles man wannabe, Jellicent. This Jellicent is actually Cursed Body rather than Water Absorb, meant to help disable moves and catch people off guard. Jellicent unfortunately gets the burn from Scald. Hacks are in favor of Patterrz right now. This is a good day for all of those who enjoy hot Pringles. Kristen decides that it would be a good idea to scout out the Slowbro using Recover. Slowbro goes for the Grass Knot, which does a massive amount of damage to Jellicent. Cursed Body disables Grass Knot and makes Patterrz cry every time. Patterrz switches back out into Patterrz, probably predicting Jellicent to go for Recover, which is exactly what happens. This puts Patterrz in a very good position to potentially get off free damage or perhaps Sleep Powder, predicting a switch. Predicting a Leech Seed, Kristen decides to switch into her Virizion. Thankfully, Patterrz does go for the Leech Seed, so Virizion is not affected at all. The burn damage is really starting to take its toll on Mega Venusaur. Fun fact about this Virizion, it's a screener. Patterrz decides to switch into his Arcanine, which not only strategically lowers Virizion's attack with Intimidate, but is also a fantastic switch in against Virizion. Kristen predicts this switch and takes advantage of the turn to get a Reflect up. At this point, Kristen did not want Virizion taking any damage, so she decided to swap into her bold, physical wall, Jellicent. Patterrz seemed to predict this and goes for the Crunch. Unfortunately, Cursed Body decides not to disable Crunch. For those wondering, Cursed Body only has a 30% chance of disabling a move. Patterrz switches back into his Slowbro, which has now restored a bit of HP due to its ability Regenerator. Kristen predicted this switch and goes for a Taunt, just in case it does run the calm mindset. Knowing that Slowbro is packing Grass Knot, Kristen goes for Recover, hoping to keep Jellicent alive and get Grass Knot disabled. Slowbro goes for the Grass Knot, inflicting a massive amount of damage against Jellicent. Unfortunately, Cursed Body doesn't activate, putting Jellicent in a very bad position at low HP and still with a burn ticking away on it. Looks like we're almost out of Pringle, thanks, Patterrz. Hoping for good luck, Kristen continues to use Recover on Jellicent. Slowbro continues its ruthless rampage, spanking the hell out of Jellicent with Grass Knot. No one knows where Slowbro managed to pull out this Grass Knot, but this one hits Jellicent extremely hard and is a critical hit. Jellicent barely manages to hang in there and begins to compose his will as he nears his final breath. #blame Patterrz. Kristen brings Virizion back out, hoping to get screens of some sort back up yet again. The light screen goes up, as Patterrz decides to stay in and go for an Ice Beam, which does a decent amount of damage considering light screen is now up. Patterrz withdraws his Slowbro and goes out into his Nidoqueen. Virizion goes for the Leaf Blade and tickles Nidoqueen in a futile attempt to get some damage out. Oh well, it was done on a switch in. Nidoqueen seems a bit tanky as well, restoring HP with Black Sludge. At this point, Kristen did not feel that she had any safe switch-ins. She keeps Virizion out to tickle Nidoqueen some more with Leaf Blade, hoping for a critical hit, since the move has a high critical hit ratio. Nidoqueen goes for an Ice Beam, which will do a decent amount of damage left to the remaining team members, even when light screen is up. The Stealth Rocks have become a bit problematic as well. Patterrz took notice of the fact that Virizion is using physical attacks, and the fact that Reflect finally went down. So, he switches into his Arcanine, intimidating Virizion. However, attempting to be on the safe side, Kristen puts another Reflect back up. Sleepy Kristen decides to switch into Salamence, since the Intimidate Pokémon is already out in the field. Patterrz makes an excellent play by going for Will-O-Wisp, burning up Salamance's Lumberry. This was supposed to be Salamance's lunch today, but Patterrz had to go and be a bully. #blame Patterrz. Predicting another Will-O-Wisp, Kristen switches into Galvantula. The prediction was right, and unfortunately Galvantula is now suffering burn damage and is taking more and more rocks damage as it continues to get swapped in and out. Kristen was faced with a tough choice, wondering if Patterrz would predict a Volt switch or not. Patterrz withdraws his Arcanine and switches into his Nidoqueen, indeed predicting a Volt switch. Kristen goes for a Bug Buzz just to get some damage off, hoping for a switch which ended up happening. The Galvantula this week is unfortunately Choice Specs and is now locked into Bug Buzz. Kristen switches out into Latias, which is one of the only Pokémon remaining that can actually take an Ice Beam. Sadly, a mistake was made when genning the Latias. Usually, Kristen will never run a Life Orb Latias without Recover. Latias was missing Recover, and had Reflect type instead. Lol. That's what happens when you battle at 5:30 AM. No. Patterrz makes a very safe switch into his Slowbro, knowing that he can take a Draco Meteor. He takes it like a champ, and the battle is definitely looking very grim for Kristen now, especially with no recover or defog, which she usually runs one or the other, or both. Kristen needs extra damage in the Slowbro, so she goes for another Draco Meteor at -2 special attack. Something finally goes right and she ends up getting a critical hit. Slowbro dies. This definitely was not the plan, so it was quite the surprise. Patterrz sends out his quick and nimble powerhouse, Bird Dude the Star Raptor. He goes for a Brave Bird, which is absolutely ruthless considering Latias has very little HP remaining. Needless to say, that little bit of life that Latias had is now gone. R.I.P. Kristen switches into Galvantula, hoping to scare Patterrz out. She is now faced with a difficult decision, wondering if she will actually switch or not. Patterrz ends up not switching, like she wanted him to, so he takes a Bug Buzz with ease. Her other option was to use Thunder to kill Star Raptor. He predicted her. Well played, you cheeky ginger. Galvantula dies, leaving Kristen with only 2 Pokémon remaining, and neither of them want to take a Brave Bird from their arch nemesis known as Bird Dude. Virizion comes back out onto the field to stare Death in the face. Death sure has a long beak, Virizion thought to itself, as it trembled in its boots, awaiting an inescapable fate. Virizion dies, leaving Kristen with only 1 remaining Pokémon. Salamence sweeps inside of its Pokeball in an empty stomach, hoping the next time that it gets sent out will be in front of a fruit tree full of delicious berries. Little does Salamence know, the Grim-Beaked Reaper is waiting for it. Salamence comes out of the Pokeball and is met with a horrific sight. Blood drips from the beak of Star Raptor, who has managed to make a successful career out of being a Grim Reaper. Kristen is now his #1 customer. Salamence, knowing that it cannot outspeed it, decides to say his last words, "Go shit." Salamence falls, as another victim to Star Raptor. This thing is neither a star nor a raptor, but it is still a murderer. That ends this week's United Championship League battle. Lesson learned, don't play sleep deprived. Patterrz played very well, good game to him. Kristen is a scrub lolol swah swah swah. Some people out there probably still took this battle too seriously and are on the floor rolling around crying or throwing a tantrum. Keep in mind that these battles are all for fun and should never be taken too seriously. We'll be back next week. Kristen should be able to commentate again. Thanks so much for watching. Go check out Patterrz the Destroyer, and we'll be back next week to take on PK and the Philadelphia Feraligators.